Prepare for teleport!
Alright, welcome to Warmonger episode 6. Tonight we're talking about the Iron Warriors. Now, on the line, I have John from the UK. How are you going?
I'm very good, thank you, Tim. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. It's a nice, beautiful 5 a.m. here. What time? It's like 8 p.m. or something? After dinner?
Yes, it's just had a bit of dinner. The weather's kind of closing in a little bit. We've got a little bit of a storm rolling in this evening, so I'm right on the coast for people that know the geography, close to the sea.
Whereabouts?
Yeah,
whereabouts?
So I'm in Cornwall. So I'm in
nice.
The picturesque, beautiful southwest, all on my own.
Are you eating a pasty right now?
Heresy.
Are you eating pasty?
A pasty?
Pasty, whatever.
No, I'm not eating a pasty. No, Jesus. Although I have got a number in my fridge/freezer. I could if I wanted to at any time.
Yeah. And then also on the line from closer to Australia, Liam. How are you going?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Now, both of you guys Iron Warriors players. Liam's a loyalist Iron Warriors player. Are you a loyalist or a traitor, John?
I would say probably, how do I put this? Probably a traitor. I tend to end up playing traitor, but I would say if
you jump around, or
happily switch allegiances. But no, really, I'm a traitor player. But I'll do what I'm told, to be honest with you. So.
And as an Iron Warrior player, do you care for Perturabo or not?
I think Perturabo is misunderstood. I think genuinely,
really?
yeah, no, fuck it, yeah, no, I'm gonna back my boy. I do care for Perturabo very deeply. I think part of the problem is nobody's ever cared for him before, and that's probably why he is deemed so misunderstood. So, I'm actually going to stick my head above the parapet and say I think the Perturabo Primarch book is one of the best out there. So if you think he's a dickhead, go read that and then we can argue.
Yeah, I don't know. If he just acted like a fucking adult any of the time, it'd be easy to get on with him. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's misunderstood to me. It just seems like he's just a little like baby man, just always like, oh, I'm so upset about this and that. But that could just be obviously the unreliable narrator there. Maybe they had some.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe
he's only fucking reliable, member of the traitor family anyway. Talking of ability, it's anyone that can be counted upon.
Yeah.
If he'd have been in charge, mate. If he'd have been in charge of the whole heresy, if he was the Perturabo heresy, mate, it'd have been over in a matter of weeks.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about the Iron Warriors fluff. The Iron Warriors, obviously, Legion number 4. Now, Perturabo was discovered later in the game, I believe. He's one of the junior Primarchs. He's not one of the senior teens, within the top 10. Him and Magnus were discovered relatively close together, right? And then they sort of hung out on Terra while they were doing their, mandatory 12-month How to Be a Primarch course.
Just cruising about, making sure that he kind of earned true Mega Man status.
Yeah, just wandering around Earth looking for spellbooks in shady shops and shit like that, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, looking for his wand in Diagon Alley. That sort of thing.
yeah. So now these guys, in terms of Legion strength, in terms of just the overall power of the Legion, I think these guys were probably one of the stronger legions. They were very, very, very spread out across the galaxy, which meant that I think they would have had a main warband, right, of just maybe 120,000 or 100,000 guys, and then
they're super attritional in their nature, so they kind of rely upon having quite a lot of guys for various reasons. They do get sort of stuck around here and there and mainly kind of abandoned to sort of garrison backwater planets, little farms that people have accrued. If we need to be protecting some barley, their Iron Warriors are the people that are going to probably end up doing it. but there are a lot of
plus those
guys.
long patrols and things too.
Yeah, a little bit's broken up
because there's that seems to be one of the kind of reasons why there's so many loyalist Iron Warriors. It's just that, you know, if you had some Iron Warriors in a fleet like tootling around some backwater systems, and they kind of get back to, you know, get some more ammo from the shops and kind of go, wait a minute, what's going on? There's a what? A heresy.
Yeah.
Fucking 100%. There's a lot of we're fucking bad guys now. I think there's going to be quite a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So
good old see also Paramount.
Yeah. So one of the I rate them as like probably one of the strongest legions. Fucking Perturabo as a dude, I'm not like all on board with. I think he's a bit of a like just from the books that I've read and some of the fluff in the black books. I think he's a bit of a dickhead. But yeah, you're all right. Like he was like real like focused on, like he could get just like hyper focused on things. He was obviously some sort of like mega genius. He could like sit down with the Mechanicum, you know, like mega magos, and just like have cool convos about like shipbuilding and fucking gun design and all that sort of shit. But yeah, he was easily manipulated, unfortunately. And yeah, what a shame. What a fucking shame. He was like friends with Fulgrim. Because he gets like anyone who was like BFFs with Fulgrim just like gets totally fucked in the heresy. Ferris gets fucking decapitated. Fucking Perturabo gets just like dragged into insane civil war, and then Horus obviously gets like possessed by devils and fucking like torn apart in a mind war with the Emperor. But yeah, Iron Warriors fucking now as you said, like attritional warfare was like one of their sort of like major things, but also as well as that, like siege warfare and fucking engineering warfare, I guess you could call it, stuff that the Auto Reductor is known for. Now, and then within their organization as well, they had these like sort of separate parts, like this, what's it called, the store Berserk or some shit, store Berserk, store.
That's right, yeah.
Berserk. Who were like the siege train. They also had like their own like Mechanicum sect that got around with them. I forget the name.
The burned men, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Like they had their own Mechanicum subcult of fucking psychos that wore like blue robes. Or am I making that up? I can't be making that up.
I don't think you are. I think
Birdmen were like the big assault. Like they were the psychos, right? Like they were like the assault battalions.
Jesus Christ, you have got me.
Oh yes, I remember you telling me about that. There was the Iron Warrior tech priest that kind of worked with Perturabo, right? I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, they were called like the new Machina.
Which short? Yeah, that's it. The new Machina. Yeah, one of the short stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are definitely one of the legions that has super close ties to the Mechanica. Yeah, I go and read the Primarch book. There's a lot of I think the web that kind of Perturabo gets wrapped up in with the Mechanicum and create mega metal men is kind of in there.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I think because they were so interested in like utilitarian use, you know, any like developing and studying any kind of siege warfare or, you know, attritional warfare, they were more willing to accept new ideas or new concepts, new equipment than other legions who were kind of, many of them seem to be like living in the past or in their, you know, their kind of home world's culture. I think that's one of the interesting things about like Iron Warriors is that you can kind of have a wide variety of ideas about how you want to play them or how you want to set them up.
Well, let's be honest as well, right? If you're going to keep feeding men after meat grinder, eventually you're going to run out of men. So being able to rattle off some metal men to kind of fight alongside you quickly will be pretty beneficial.
Yeah, like if you find an old weapon and you're in in a siege and you've got to end the siege. You're just going to go, well, how can we make this work? Whereas other legions might be like, oh, we simply don't dabble in, radiation cannons or,
yeah. I feel like
dark
that
lances or anything like
that.
There's a different moral compass going on in the Fourth Legion, I think, than most others.
Yeah, I think that they're also just like they must just be getting like tons of fucking information and battle lore and shit from the Order Reductor as well, right? Like they just see it, especially when you look at like the list of sort of battle specialties and things that they're into. It's very, very similar to the Order Reductor. So. Yeah, no, very interesting. Okay, well, pardon me, fucking 5 a.m. here. Still waking up. Only just had a coffee. So we'll give just a brief overview of their fluff. Like, fucking, you can go and look them up. They've been around forever. Like, they're one of the prestige legions, the Iron Warriors. They've always had really good rules. All the way back to Third Ed. Back, they were the first. Faction to be like, oh yeah, they get an extra heavy support choice, and you're like, whoa.
First faction, Basilisk.
Yeah, the Basilisk. Yeah, you can take the Basilisk for Marines. Oh, holy shit! Because previously that was only Imperial Guard. They got like they were the guys who had like the Warsmith. That was like an early thing, like a 4th Ed or 5th Ed or something like that. Maybe 3.5 Ed. Lots of cool shit Iron Warriors got. They had that book Storm of Iron. It was a 40k book that came out pretty early on. By Graham
I
McNeil.
love that book.
It's just been released on. It's just been released on 2 weeks ago. Finally, after like a decade in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And for me, even though it's a 40k book, I'd say if you want to get an idea of what Iron Warrior is about. For heresy, read Storm of Iron. It's so good.
You can always imagine that guy, the half-breed guy, is made from he's made from some Imperial Fists, like gene seed that they stole, right? So they call him like the half-breed.
I think it's Ultramarines.
Oh, it's Ultramarines
for him.
Ugh, gross.
But see, that's how open-minded and
pragmatic.
And kind the Iron Warriors are, that they're willing to adopt people from all sorts of places and just bring them into the fold.
Just misunderstood. The thing as well is, especially throughout the heresy, they're always they're always garrisoning some world here, or they're supporting some sort of crusade here, or they're making some metal men over here. So they're in so many other stories where they don't necessarily, or so many other bits of lore where they don't necessarily. They're not the main protagonists, but they're just sort of there knocking about, laying waste to some sort of absolute pile of chuds.
Yeah, they're good like enemies in the books as well for the loyalists, just because they're always fucking like got some secret plan. They're always like blowing up some fucking shit. They've always got bombs or like giant cannons. They're always like ready to cover their and retreat with with artillery and stuff like that. Classic.
Seeking out some sort of bit of demon tech or some sort of demon weapons. If someone's looking for a demon weapon, chances are Perturabo's involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Okay. Well, let's go through the rules. Now we're going to go through them. Legion trait first. Then warlord traits, extra equipment, special units, special reaction, and then finish off with the rights of war, which put the whole list together. Now, let's begin. So the Legion studies Iron Warrior rule is one of those 4 rules in one box. 3 of them, one of them is an actual rule. 3 of them just tell you that you can have stuff. The important thing here, though, is the Rack and Ruin rule, which is possibly one of the best Legion traits. Like, a lot of people will say it's Imperial Fists. However, in terms of just like
wrong.
in terms of sheer amount of just fucking insane damage and that you can do, and potency, like it's hard to come up with a concept for a vehicle army or a dreadnought army that can contend with the Iron Warriors because of this rule. So it is Rack and Ruin. When a model with this special rule, makes a shooting attack or melee attack against a dreadnought, automata, or vehicle, or building, it gains +1 to the strength of the attack. So if you're shooting a las cannon, for example, already an extremely good weapon this edition because it's got sunder. It goes from strength, and you're an Iron Warrior, and on a tank or a Land Raider or a infantry guy, and you shoot against a dreadnought or a vehicle or a automata or a building, strength 10 with sunder, and that is fucking amazing. Having had it used against me, fucking holy shit. And I've watched also tons of tabletop sim games run by those guys over at the Age of Darkness. Oh, sorry, no, the HH Age of Darkness. Discord thing where I've just watched endless dudes with just Iron Warriors tanks just shooting shit off the table with strength 10 Sunder las cannons. Yikers. Like, have you guys found it?
Tell you when you really notice it. You really notice playing Iron Warrior. And you're just, because you're constantly used to things like heavy bolters, bolt guns being strength 5 against like glance down like Rhino chassis. It's just unreal. It's so good. It makes so many more weapons so much better. Like the humble auto cannon in the hands of an Iron Warrior is just an absolute fucking beat stick. It's cheap, it's long range, it's super effective, it's got rending, you can, as we'll come to later, like loads of other things like your siege breaker, giving them the ability to have like sundered strength 8 or against mid-tier like kind of tank chassis is just, oh my god, it's just absolutely fantastic. Cannot begin to tell you how good it feels just to sling like 20 watt cannon shots into your predators.
Well, even those good old tactical squads with, say 20 odd bolters, your opponent's got a completely different sort of formula they've got to work through of where they're, say, moving their contemptors or their lighter tanks and so on, because everything an Iron Warrior's got is viable and dangerous. Even on a 6, it's still good.
Well, you typically tend to find as well, I think, you're going to want to kind of take a lot of guys. Like the army's scale, a lot of the kind of legion traits and the rights of war scale really well. So you do tend to find that you'll have like a lot of like small to medium, like small arms, medium arms fire. And that's when you kind of really see it. It becomes the utility gets multiplied so much more by the fact that pretty much every weapon in your arsenal is kind of valuable in some way against pretty much every opponent you're going to come up against.
Yeah, in melee as well, like that's so crazy. Like just being strength 9, so you're wounding on 2s with all your thunder hammers, power fists, chain fists. Fucking crazy. Good lord. And it's just
with the outbreak of these new weapon attachments like bayonets, and especially the chainsaw bayonet, like they're so good with that extra like little bit of shred and someone that now for an Iron Warrior your tactical options are much bigger.
Well, yeah, wounding on 5s against a dread, and then with shred is crazy with chain bayonets. I mean, they can only kill 3 or 4 of you, and only 4 if they charge usually. We'll have 2 fists or something, and then just being able to like put bulk attacks into them with shred is fucking pretty good. I mean, they still need to fail 2+ armor saves, but it's bound to happen. Keep throwing 20 mans.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's how Iron Warriors play as well, right? So not only are you being vaguely effective, but you're also role playing at the same time, so you can get your locks off in 2 different ways.
That's right. And against automata as well, like that's huge because I mean, at the moment we're not seeing that much automata, but automata are already like not super strong in close combat, so just the extra +1 strength, just being able to chew them down even faster. Man, so crazy.
Non-Iron Warriors. Yeah, non-Iron Warriors automata aren't that great in combat, but Iron Circle are all right. They'll hold their own.
Yeah. And they also get the +1 strength as well. Okay,
Correct.
so very good, very, very, very good rule. If you're playing like a tank army and your Iron Warrior or the enemy's Iron Warriors and you're not Iron Warriors, you're really gonna feel it. Even like someone like Iron Hands who are more durable, just the number of penetrating hits just the extra penetrating hits that they're gonna get with las cannons, and then just the basic las cannon.
Well, as well, but when you look at the Iron Hands Contemptor, obviously, in theory, standard strength 4 bolt gun can't hurt Iron Warrior's Contemptor.
Yeah.
Whereas at least an Iron Warrior's shrapnel bolt or bolt gun can hurt the Iron Hands Contemptor.
Yeah.
Which again makes it super useful when you come up against certain people in there, especially the British meta.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, very, very interesting and very, very strong special rule. I've literally seen people just like an Iron Warrior has been trying to explain it to them, and they're just like, I don't understand why, why are you doing this to me?
Why my white scars only +1 movement?
Yeah, and your +1 strength and all your shooting against like a lot of shit in the game. Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so next one is the Warlord traits. Now there's 3 different Warlord traits, and I just skipped ahead and saw that it's the Lysatra of the Burning Man. But yeah, so there's 3 different ones. None of these are locked into being Loyalist or Trader, I don't believe. No, it doesn't look like it. Which is interesting because there's so many Loyalist Iron Warriors. If they were stuck with only one Warlord trait, that would fucking suck. However, the fact that they can use all 3 of these, even though they can be Loyalist or Trader, very good. Nice little fucking free gift for them there. So number 1 is the Tyrant of the Apollocron. Now, this one is pretty good. Like, seems very, very good. So the Warlord with this trait gains a Fearless special rule. Cannot join any unit that's not entirely composed of Iron Warriors. He joins a unit. They have to follow the following restrictions. The unit must attempt to in the shooting phase and the charge subphase, the unit must attempt to shooting attack and or charge if there's an enemy unit within range. Must target the closest enemy unit possible that's in line of sight, and is a valid target for a shooting attack or charge. If 2 or more targets are equally close, then the controlling player chooses which will be the target of a shooting attack or charge. So essentially, like the automata rule, if you don't have Cortex control, and it's meant to represent like semi, like what does it say, semi sort of like dudes with a lot of augmentation that become emotionless automata, sort of thing, or kin to the emotionless automata of the Mechanicum. So yeah, very interesting there. Fearless, extremely fucking good rule, especially if you've got a massive giant Death Star of of Terminators, tactical dreadnought armor.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys run this?
I can never ever see myself running this.
Just because of the downside, like the being kited.
Yeah, it's just, and also as well, like you've when we come on to some of the special units and some of the combos and stuff you can do later, you've got relatively easy access to Fearless and Stubborn, especially the stuff that's going to want to get into combat as well, which is not that much. But you are going to want to spend more of your time sitting back shooting. I don't. For me, this will never see play.
And the problem is, and I've seen it. I've had played against other fellow Iron Warriors, and if you're aware of these kind of traits, you will force your opponent to use them by, say, controlling what's closest to them and their opportunities, and it means that you lose a lot of your ability to make tactical decisions during a game just because of that requirement to charge or shoot certain targets.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're not going to spend too much time like right up in the opponent's grill. So if you do, they're just going to like stick a fucking lead around you and just sort of just walk you around the board.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're starting in your deployment and you're in a big unit of Terminators, and you're just sort of slowly sort of pondering across the board, and they can deep strike shit in behind you, and then draw you back. Like you lose your tactical advantage. It doesn't control what you do in the movement phase, but yeah, like
you want to be sitting on the back shelling people anyway. That's the best part about being an Iron.
Yeah, and the fact that it says valid target of charge as well means just like anything within 12, you have to do that charge.
Right.
Which can drag you out of formation or drag you in because now that you actually move, even if you fail a charge. So yeah, interesting. All right, next one up is.
I think it's absolutely horseshit. If I'm being honest, you know.
Okay, blow that one up. No one wants Fearless.
No, look at yourself.
No one wants to bumble around Fearless. It seems pretty good. Just like Fearless is a good rule. Like there's like units in the game that have Fearless. There's like Red Butchers and the Cacophony basically, and maybe a handful, maybe like not even a handful of other things. Maybe D3 other units, right? There are a few ways to get Fearless through Rites of War and stuff like that. But it's
or a Herald.
Yeah, Herald. But exactly, Herald. But units in terms of like the new meta in terms of like pinning things like that, feels pretty good rule. And the fact that
the thing to remember too is that Fearless has got a negative to it as well, in that it limits some of the reactions you've got available, and
you can't get shrouded anymore. Yeah. But I don't know. Just chuck a fucking. You'll be alright. Just chuck a Medicae in there. Okay. Anyway, absolutely. Let's talk about the next one. Tyrant of the Dodecathon. What is it? Dodecahedron. Oh, Dodecathon. All right. After all armies have been deployed into the battle, but before scout moves and infiltrators are placed, controlling player with this warlord trait can nominate an area of terrain, a building, or a fortification on the battlefield. If the chosen item is an area of terrain that provides a cover save, then that cover save is removed, and the area counts as both difficult and dangerous terrain instead. If it's a building or fortification, then all rolls on the building damage table made for that fortification or building gain a modifier +1. In addition, an army, so you get an extra shooting phase reaction. So that's kind of interesting. Just like removing all cover from a piece of terrain. It's pretty funny because it's after you've deployed your army. So if someone's got that annoying fucking unit that they sit in ruins with skirmish and blah blah blah, and they get a cover save and all that sort of shit. Like some Death Guard guys that are really dug in on a position, or salamanders using that in sorcery to like fucking make the area dangerous terrain and difficult. You can just like change it around so it counts as dangerous and difficult to them.
I've had this used against me, and it was really good. I had another Iron Warrior out at Toowoomba. I had set my army up to kind of capture this building near the center of the table that was away from everything else, and I kind of thought, I'll get my guys in there, and then we'll be able to shoot out the windows and just make it really difficult for everyone else. So I had my objective inside the building to capture it, but he kind of blew up and set fire to the whole building, and it meant that I was really locked into attacking his like very heavily like reinforced other flank, and it just threw out all my calculations.
I'm going to go one better, because this is what I use in all of my builds, and it's absolutely fucking king shit. I think this is so unbelievably underrated. When you really get it, when you really see, because it completely, even when you explain it to your opponent, and I'm kind of a good one, I don't really like kind of gotchas in the game. I'd much rather kind of take my opponent through my list and what things do, so they've got a good idea. So, if you spring a bit of a trap on them, they kind of have fallen into a trap that at least has been vaguely telegraphed. I think it leads to a better experience when you're not just sort of going, ha-ha, people the whole time. So, but fucking hell, it shits people up. Like it fucks with everyone's planning because they're like, oh, well, I've got this quite heavy support squad that I'm going to jam in this building, knowing that you're going to get a cover save or feel no pain, etc. And then when you say, knowing that you can do this, or if you've got vehicles deployed in amongst terrain, and then you're instantly making that difficult and dangerous terrain and removing the cover save. So it opens you up to a much more effective initial shooting volley, but also as well, if you're you've then got to worry about moving out of it, or if you've got people who've placed objectives in areas of terrain as well, knowing that they might be about to then stick an area like a unit of recon marines or scouts or infiltrators, kind of to try and grab that objective early game. That makes you think twice, 3 times about it. It's fucking super effective, and then you get an extra reaction in the shooting phase, which is where you're strongest anyway. I mean, it's the best one. People think that the Tyrant of Lysatra is the best one. They're incorrect. This is the best one.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. Like, difficult and dangerous. Like, dangerous terrain now is very good. Like, just rolling that one and dying, like, with no damage mitigation or armor save is pretty fucking crazy. And then if you're sending a suicide unit in there anyway, like, even if you charge them, when they do their little surge move or whatever, when they move up, they have to roll for that. If they want to do a consolidate, they have to roll for that as well.
Yeah, pile in as well in combat as well.
If they want
to roll for that again.
Yeah, if they want to chase after you or they want to flee from you, they have to take them there as well. So it just makes it like an unholy, just a terrible prospect.
This Warlord race is absolutely chef's kiss. It's so fucking good. I can't even begin. I mean, on paper, Lysatra looks like way better, but in reality, the utility behind it is so good.
Yeah, you're right, because your opponent has to guess that any bit of terrain could be the one that you choose. So, if they've got a nice big apartment block in their deployment zone, they can't kind of sit anything in there in case you pick it. But you don't have to.
Exactly right. It's all about. I really like sort of like. Genuinely like fucking with my opponent's chi a little bit. Like an early game unnerving is wonderful for the soul. So,
100%.
This is definitely an early game unnerving.
What's the biggest piece of terrain that you've used this on? Because how sometimes people have those really huge pieces of custom terrain.
Yeah, I've used it. I haven't used it on like a huge bit of custom terrain, but I have used it on one huge. Like basilicas, which we were fighting. I just thought, because part of how I like wargaming is I kind of like to watch the world burn a little bit. So we had, I think there was one central objective we were fighting over in this kind of like 2 foot by foot basilica right in the middle of the board, and I was like, well, I think we all know what's coming next, don't we?
This entire thing's on fire. Yeah,
this entire thing is now a husk.
Yeah, so there you go.
Radiated husk.
Giant games, you can also troll people as well. So that's even funnier in a 4-way.
Those reactions as well. So
yeah. All right, next one, and then the last one, the third one, is the Tyrant of the Lysatra. Now this one is interesting. I've seen a lot of people using this one. Now a warlord with the trait and every model in a unit that he's joined may choose to roll an additional dice when making a shooting attack with any rapid-fire, assault, or heavy weapon that does not have a blast or template, but these weapons gain the Gets Hot special rule for that shooting attack. If a warlord and or unit under the effect of this trait makes a bit of fury reaction, which we'll get to soon, they basically just make an extra shot, and if the warlord's with the unit, basically the only reaction they're allowed to do is either a return fire or a bitter reaction, or a bitter fury, and they have to try and do the first time you're shot at, basically you have to try and return fire, right?
This is the thing that people often, I don't think initially when the book was first launched, people didn't read it correctly, and they were so basically, because Tim, I'm guessing you're a man possessing at least half a brain, correct?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Not at this time of the morning.
So, well, in which case, what would you think you would do? Let's say, for argument's sake, because I would say 85% of Iron Warriors players that exist on the internet, I don't know about real life, but exist on the internet, will take a Warsmith with this Warlord trait in a unit of Siege Tyrants, right? So,
yeah.
I'm about to get on my soapbox, by the way, so just bear with me a second.
Yeah.
Just let me have my little rant. So I think this is a massive trap, and the reason is because you typically, when we look at things like the rights of war, where you want to build armies, etc., I think you end up almost kind of railroading yourself into running a Warlord trait that means you have to take a Warsmith, right? You don't take a Delegatus, you have to take a Warsmith because of the utility. Now, you then give him this Warlord trait and sit him with a unit of Siege Tyrants. So he loses all his utility because he sat right back at the board anyway. And then if you've got half a fucking brain, you just run a Rhino up to him, shoot at him, and then they have to return fire or Bit of Fury against your Rhino.
Yeah.
Or your unit of 5 Recon Marines. And then all of a sudden their massive threat is completely taken away. It's completely negated for the sake of like a 40-point unit.
Yeah,
because
that is exactly what happened to me.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened to me because I for some reason I didn't really catch that ability to control, to have to return fire. And good old Tommy, the Terror at our Mount Gravatt games did that. He did a burnout with a Rhino in front of my Warsmith with Siege Tyrants and shot those little bolt guns at me and just drew the fire. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? I've got to I've got to respond.
Oh, I get 3 shots and it also gets hot, and any ones I roll and it gets hot, I just die from instant death as well. Oh shit.
Yep.
I mean, at least you can choose the weapons that you return fire with, so you could just say, I'm going to use the shittest one, so at least you might not take an instant death.
Yeah, you can just roll your combi bolters.
Yeah,
but I think it's a bit of a trap, because I think you rob yourself of the utility of your Smith, who can be off somewhere else doing some cool shit, because Siege Tyrants, you're never going to get them in combat. If you get them in, you've kind of missed the point of it.
Yeah, 100%.
So they're going to be sat as far away from anyone as possible, doing as you say.
Yeah, you want to be sitting at 48 inches. Yeah, just drilling those fucking crack missiles into basic infantry, basically.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 pennies on those. I think you either take Dodecathon, or, which is by far and away the standout for me, or you end up taking one of the generic Warlord traits. I don't think you even take it.
Yeah, are any of the generic ones like particularly good?
Yeah, I think there are some, additional attacks and weapon skill, especially if you run things like Dominators, who we might come to later. I don't know if you're looking to dig into the exemplary units or not, or Iron Circle, but I think that the Tyrant of the Dodecathon, when you start using it, it's so handy. Just like that one unit that you've properly castled up, and you're like, I need to deal with that early game.
Yeah,
removing their ability to have a cover save is wonderful.
Yeah, if you're being harassed by that fucking sniper squad as well.
Too.
Yeah, it's really fluffy as well. Like, it's all about it's siege breaking and that kind of pre-game bombardment. That's essentially what you're doing.
It's all about burning basilicas. Yeah. All right, okay, let's get into the armory of the Iron Warriors. Now, we've got a few things in here. The number one is the Warsmith. You can upgrade your Praetor to a Warsmith, any of the 3 different Praetor types, the 2 Terminator ones or the basic boy. Now, it's only 20 points, and you gain a Cortex Controller, a Servo Arm, as well as a Master of the Automata, which means you can join units of Automata, and the Battlesmith 3+ special rule. Model upgraded, so you can't take a jump pack bike or jet bike. Now in the errata, you can use they've errated so that you can use your servo arm as just like your close combat arm. So it's a strength 8 AP2 close combat weapon essentially. So for 20 points, pretty good. Being like getting a whole bunch of as well as like your basic 4 attacks because you're a Praetor at strength 8 AP2, then you get an extra attack at strength 8 AP2. So, and then 1 for charging, blah blah blah. So very interesting. The Warsmith 3+ like comes in handy in those like in those big games where you can something's down to like 1 hull point, like a dreadnought or a land raider or something. If you're like inside the transport, you can just be like sitting in there welding it up, stuff like that. You can give a wound back to a dreadnought, give a wound back to an automata if you want. It's not like super game changing, but every now and then it'll come in handy. And so many people will tell you like, oh yeah, my thing would have died if I hadn't like put 2 hull points or put 2 wounds back in it, like partway through the game, that sort of thing. And combined with It Will Not Die, if you can get something with It Will Not Die, you can just like stack that repair. Pretty cool. Do you guys run Warsmiths? You always upgrade to Warsmith, or?
Yeah, just because I just love them. I do, yes.
What about you, John?
I definitely do. Yeah. I've got a couple.
Yeah, only a servo arm. An Iron Father gets a full fucking machinator array. Ugh.
Yeah, how many points are you paying for his machinator array though?
65, but it's.
There you go, right?
You get a Cyber Familiar and feel no pain. I don't know. All right.
Yeah. Look, I think 20 points is an absolute fucking bargain.
Yeah,
I think,
100%.
And like I said, when we look at the rest of war, kind of makes a bit more sense. Yeah, I always take one. It's also again, it's super cool, right? The whole I really like going back a little bit to really like the whole sort of hierarchical dynamic of the Warsmiths and kind of what they represent, and also how they're constantly fighting to fuck each other over to win Perturabo's affection and become part of the Triarch. I think that's
that is so true. That is so true. That like if your warlord is a Warsmith, then you're the boss of your friends who don't have Warsmiths.
I don't know.
Because you're higher up in the hierarchy.
Nobody likes office politics. Nobody likes office politics. Just a divided legion. I don't know. Seems silly to me. All right, next up.
Friendly rivalries.
Yeah, next up, fun rivalries. Yeah, fun work rivalries. All right, next up is the Graviton Crushers. So these are like special Graviton mauls that I don't know. It's sort of described as just being like savage power. It doesn't explain how they work or anything, but it seems like they've got some like Graviton gun technology. I would have thought like a Graviton Crusher would be something that like you go to swing it, and then on the downstroke it just goes like, increase the weight of this object by, fucking 700 times, so it just smashes down and fucking crushes shit. However,
that's exactly on the money. That is exactly what.
That's not what this does, though. This emits a deadly electromagnetic pulse on impact instead. So it's just a club that does an electromagnetic pulse. It's not like an increased gravity thing. But anyway, okay. So you can give one of these weapons to any Legion Astartes character. You can exchange a power weapon for a Graviton Mace, or exchange a Thunder Hammer for a Graviton Crusher for no additional cost. And any Dreadnought may take a Gravis, or swap their Gravis Power Fist for a Graviton Maul for 15 points per weapon. So that doesn't replace like the inbuilt weapon either. So Gravity Mace is essentially, it's just a power mace, which is only strength as user instead of strength +2. AP3 melee haywire, so essentially a AP3 haywire mace. That's kind of cool, especially if you're fighting against automata or dreads or vehicles. Graviton Crusher is a +2 strength AP2 mace that's two-handed and unwieldy, so slow boy, and it also has haywire. And then a Graviton Maul, which is the Dreadnought version, which is strength +2 AP2 melee brutal 2 haywire. So the way haywire and brutal 2 stacks is that you do, for each hit, basically you roll on the haywire table, and then on a 2+, it does 2 wounds with no armor saves, and on a 6 it does 2 wounds with no saves of any kind. So very interesting. Obviously, that haywire and what I just said then is only applicable against dreadnoughts and automata. Against buildings, you would just do the brutal wouldn't apply, and against vehicles, the brutal wouldn't apply either. So it's kind of cool, but at the same time, like,
doing the Iron Warrior thing with the guys. Yeah.
Can hear Liam shouting at Robbie in the background.
He's moved 15 feet away from his microphone. Also,
just turn it down a bit. So graviton weapons, very interesting. Being able to just fucking pump out a shitload of haywire attacks in close combat. What do you think about these, John? They seem pretty situational to me. Like,
I think that the TLDR is if you're taking a mace or a crusher, then you need to just immediately check your, because you are clearly soft in the head. They're fucking shite.
Don't like
whereas
them.
the more, I just no. I mean, are you going to give up a Thunderhammer that has brutal 2 for an unwieldy 2-handed haywire weapon? No, you're not. I think the Graviton Maul, I think it's got some play. I think it's potentially quite cool when you see him on the Iron Circle, and really funky. But I think 15 points. I think if it were free or if it were 5 points, I might consider running a Dread with a Graviton Maul. I think it's quite cool. I think either of the other two, I just think they're a bit shit. I think when you look at they're rubbish. Don't take them.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, the Maul, especially to me, seems like I think like the Gravis Power Fist is just so good. That Brutal 3 is just so fucking amazing.
Oh no, right?
And then you're right. The swapping out the Thunderhammer is like Strength times 2. This is just Strength plus 2. So you're going down to Strength 6, AP 2 against a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is 2-handed.
Yeah, maybe it needs some buffing there, but compared to the weapons,
would you change it in some way to make it a little? What would you do to it?
I'd take a Tipex and just delete this line out of the book and just move on from life. To be honest,
it never happened. It wasn't something. It's not like there's something they brought across from the last edition either.
No, exactly. But especially also as well, like we're one of the few legions where we get like special close combat weapons and special range weapons. I don't think they needed it. I think they could have just left the Maul as the weapon of the Iron Circle and just moved on. I will be astounded if anyone shows up to an event with a Graviton Mace or a Graviton Crusher, and you see someone running it out there, just take him to one side and ask him if they're all right. Just take him for a chat somewhere quiet. Make sure that things are going okay in their life because they've clearly suffered sort of trauma. However, when we talk about the range weapons, I think we're completely talking on a completely different page.
All right, well, let's go. Let's jump across the pages. Olympian shrapnel weapons. So these are a special kind of bolt ammunition, essentially, that they shoot through normal bolters or is it a totally different? No, I think it's just special shells, right? So essentially what these are is a variant type of bolt ammunition for the pistol, the bolter, the heavy bolter, and the Gravis heavy bolter. They reduce the range and gain pinning, essentially. So any model can swap all bolt pistols or shrapnel pistols, bolt pistols for shrapnel pistols, bolters for shrapnel bolters, and cannon and heavy bolters for shrapnel cannons for 2 points per model. So very, very, very cheap. And then basically it's got rules for swapping the vehicle weapons as well. So the shrapnel pistol is a bolt pistol essentially, but it goes from range 12 down to 10 and loses its AP, goes to AP dash. But gains pinning. And then the bolt gun's an 18-inch range, strength 4, rapid fire pinning. Shrapnel cannon goes down to 24, strength 5, AP 6, heavy 4 pinning. And then the Gravis goes down to 36. So they essentially lose a bit of range, like especially the shrapnel. Like the heavy bolter goes from 36 down to 24. Like that's like fucking pretty brutal. The bolter going down to 18, so you're only rapid firing at 9 is very interesting. But the fact that you gain pinning across like all of your shit, very, very good, right? Like you can just force so many more pinning checks than normal.
Yeah, you're probably not going to take the Gravis shrapnel ever because, like, imagine a scenario where you take a Gravis heavy bolt, dreadnought, the like. You're just not going to because they are a much better chassis for taking some of the more obscene weaponry.
Yeah,
like
strength 10
las
lasguns. Yeah, strength 10
Yeah,
lasguns.
or conversion beam cannon.
Yeah.
Strength 13 conversion beam cannon. The shrapnel bolter is an auto take, an absolute auto take, especially when you consider some of the rest of war. Pistol's really cool. And the cannon has definitely got its uses. I use it a lot as I tend to mechanize like a couple of units in my army most games, so I tend to run a pintle shrapnel cannon. It's have the ability to don't forget it's also strength 6 against other vehicles, which is often quite useful. And the ability to kind of cause pinning as well from like a really cheap little upgradey boy is good.
Yeah. Do you think 2 points per model was even couldn't they have just swapped for free? Like 2 points even seems like across 20 dudes, that's like 40 points. That's it's a big chunk.
Because that loss of range, you do feel the loss of range in it. Like it does make a difference. I kind of feel like it's the range is the balance for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the points is fair. Like I don't feel, especially when you look at how they scale. They scale really, really. That 2 points is it's fucking worth it. Again, it's the classic thing. Like,
sorry, say again, John. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, say again. You just started breaking up
then. My point was, when you really notice it is when you play you play an army with shrapnel bolters, and then you go and play another legion that hasn't got shrapnel bolters. Is again when you really notice these, you'll really become the value really increases when it's not there.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just that like 6-inch, snipping that 6-inch off the range. It's also just for the rapid fire range, losing 3 inches off that rapid fire range, and then when you play against Alpha Legion, you're losing an extra couple inches. Shooting at shroud bombs, you're losing inches. So very interesting. All right. Overall though, good weapon, especially if you're just like forging across the table with big like squads of guys, right? Just ripping those fucking like pinning checks across their entire force. And because you have to take one for every wound you take from a shooting effect with pinning, you can force multiple checks on the unit until they're pinned, right? And then just leaves them open.
I'm starting to feel like some of the things that I'm thinking in my own head are you're kind of questioning me on a little bit, and I'm thinking, am I getting this wrong? Like, am I playing this wrong all of a sudden? Kind of starting to think that perhaps I'm just playing a slightly weird way that means that I really value a lot of this stuff, or I think, oh yes, shrapnel bolters and auto include, and I'm not sure you're of the opinion that they are.
I think pinning is at the end of the shots fired at the unit, so you do one pinning test as long as you've done wounds to the unit with a pinning weapon. So I don't think you get like 5 pinning tests, you get 1.
I don't know if you do. I think
it's for each unit.
You do. I think it's multiple.
Like if you have 3 separate units and you fire off, first unit shoots, any wounds that you take, you then have to take a pinning check. Second unit shoots. If they're not pinned already, then you can force them to take. Yeah. So you can just force them to take multiple pinning checks. Yeah. I don't know. It does seem pretty good to me, but I mean, I haven't come across like tons of pinning shit. Like I haven't felt the oppressive pinning meta that that the UK seems to have a pretty oppressive pinning meta. Lots of pinning checks.
It is so fucking oppressive. The UK meta is both incredibly high and incredibly oppressive at the same time. It's quite a special breed.
That's right. All right. Okay. Well, let's get. I think we can agree that is pretty good. Like, I think we do agree that that's good. I think it should have been cheaper though. Like, I don't think it's so good that it because you are losing that range. I don't think it's so good that it needed to be 2 points per model. But whatever. I'm
throwing my hat firmly behind you. Putting all the support you in the shrapnel bolt. It should be free for Iron Warriors Crusade that you've been embarking upon. So definitely count me in, mate.
Yeah, there you go. Fucking free shrapnel.
It makes it good. The Iron Warrior bolt is good, and making it pin as well is so it's just that extra bit of deliciousness.
Yeah.
Extra bit of spice.
Icing on the cake, yeah. All right. Okay, let's jump to the special units. Now, the Iron Circle Maniple is the first one. This is the first thing to come across. Now, what you've got here is basically Domitar stats from the Mechanicum list. These things are 150 points each. They're movement 8. They've got like the Domitar stats, so weapon skill 4, strength 7, toughness 7, 5 wounds. Pretty good. Only initiative 3 though. And 3 attacks base with a 3+ armor save. They come with a Graviton Maul, everyone's favorite weapon, a shield, cast arrow battle shield, and a shrapnel cannon. Shrapnel cannon, as we know, was the thing that replaces. It's essentially like a heavy bolter. So range 24, strength 5, heavy 4. So that's a bit of a shame because they used to have some sort of like cool custom gun that was pretty good. And you can take up to 5 additional Domitar Ferrums, or Iron Circle, for 135 points each. Now, they've got a whole bunch of special rules. One of them is basically just that you can take them as a boyfriend unit for Perturabo. One of them is the moving bulwark rule, which is as long as you're in base contact with another Iron Circle, your invulnerable jumps up a step. And the cast arrow battle shield, which is a 5+ invulnerable save, and any model with a battle shield that suffers an unsaved wound with instant death, it just takes D3 wounds instead. So pretty cool, and it means that they don't explode, right? Because they don't have the... oh no, maybe they do explode because they're automata? No, they don't have the automatic...
No.
Yeah, they don't have the automatic shielding, so they don't explode.
No.
Yeah, interesting. Automatic, whatever it's called, automatic shield.
And they've got Hammer of Wrath 3 as well, which is vaguely useful.
Oh, true, yeah. So what's that, 3 strength 7 auto hits?
7.
When they hit. So that's pretty good. They've got that Cybernetica unit subtype, but if you remember, the Warsmith gains that ability to join a unit of Cybernetica. So pretty cool if you chuck a... so originally, in the last edition, these things themselves had a special rule that allowed them to be like a boyfriend squad for pretty much anyone, or any independent character, I believe. And now the only people you'd be able to join would be a Praevian, or a Forge Lord, or a Battlesmith, basically. Warsmith, sorry, yeah.
Or Perturabo, obviously. Which is where they really step up. They're all right as a non-Perturabo unit, and pretty immovable as a Perturabo unit.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so if they're chosen as that boyfriend squad for Perturabo, they gain Feel No Pain 5+ as well, which seems pretty good, especially if you've got a 5+ invulnerable. If you've got 2 of them in base to base with each other, it goes to a 4+ invulnerable, and then 5+ Feel No Pain on top of that. And if it's Feel No Pain, I mean, you're gonna get your Feel No Pain against everything that doesn't have instant death, essentially, unless it's fucking strength 14 or something somehow. So yeah, seemed like a pretty good unit. 150 points for only 25 points more though, or 135 for any fucking 40 points more. You can get a contempt.
You get Dreadnought.
Yeah. But I have seen a few battle reports where these things just like tear through shit.
These guys do come with the Graviton talking earlier and saying that's maybe the one weapon you would potentially choose. It's a 15-point upgrade on a Contempt Dreadnought, but it's free for these guys, and I think they're pretty good. I think you're going to run them with Perturabo. I don't think you're ever going to run them without. I've got the 6. Perturabo has got a unit of 6 in the bluff, so I plan to run them at an event next month with Perturabo, and I'll report back as how they go. But I don't think on paper they probably give as much effectiveness without him.
Yeah. Just becoming like so much more durable, being able to like catch bullets for him as well.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. And I mean, like, for what's two of them is like two under 300 points. So three of them's around the same price as like a 10-man fucking Terminator squad that you'd put with him, maybe. So
yeah, but
have more
it's got to be 6. It's 6 or
similar wins. Oh yeah, 6 will go home. Is that what you say?
Yeah, that's the rules, I'm afraid.
But maybe the fluff is that a few of them have died earlier, you know, in the first battle and the second.
You just fucking make some more. They're just fucking.
Oh yeah,
off the moon. Perturabo, mate. It's genius.
Just whip them up. Yeah, true. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So good unit. Because the Cybernetica as well, they gain fearless. So you know, definitely like a durable thing for your Warsmith. If you're coming under constant assassination threat, you know, that is a good squad to take. I think because of the way. No, I could be wrong about that. I was going to say because of the way the automata and unit and joining automata work, you might be able to tank hits on the automata, but I think that's only Mechanicum that can do that.
Yeah, it is. That's the Patris Cybernetica rule that means they can step in the way of the laser bolts. So unfortunately, these guys can still be picked out if you've got snipers.
Yeah, still seek them out with your Nemesis rifles. Yeah. Okay. Next up, let's talk about Tyrant Siege Terminators. 300 points for 5, and then 55 points each. What you get is a Cataphractii Terminator, just a base Cataphractii Terminator, with a thing called a Tyrant Rocket Launcher, and they also. I think the leader has, the Siegemaster has an Omniscope. They have firing protocols too. They've got all the same rules as just a normal Terminator squad, even inexorable instead of stubborn. You can take, any model can take a Chain Fist, any model can take 2 Lightning Claws instead of the Combi and Power Fist. You take a Grenade Harness, who cares about that? Now, Omniscope, what an Omniscope does is it ignores all the effects of knife fighting on the unit, and when you do an interceptor advanced reaction, it doesn't cost an additional point from a reaction allotment point. So essentially like being an augury scanner, and also slightly better augury scanner. So an augury scanner on its own ignores the 24-inch range penalty for night fighting, whereas this just basically cancels all the effects of night fighting and allows you to intercept. So pretty cool, just like a better fucking augury scanner. But the thing that you've all come for on this unit is the Tyrant Rocket Launcher. This is apparently instead of a Cyclone Missile Launcher, which is a twin-linked more precision weapon, this one is just a whole bunch of rockets, and they just go fire everything and just pump out shots. So there's 3 different types of ammo. They're all 48-inch range, so remember that. That's very, very good range. 48 is very, very good. So you've got a Crack, which is Strength 8, AP 3, Heavy 2. A Frag, which is Strength 4, AP 6, Heavy 4 pinning. So almost like 4 bolt guns or 4 shrapnel rounds, but out to 48. And then the last one is Flak, which is Strength 7, AP 3, Heavy 2, Skyfire. So imagine a full 10-man unit is dumping out 20 Skyfire shots at Strength 7, AP 3. That just totally smells.
Yeah, it's effective Strength 8, don't forget as well.
Oh, yeah, and Strength 8 against flyers, yeah. So as long as you're not shooting down a fucking flying demon or something against flyers, so brutal. So have you guys just ripped shit from the sky with these guys? Or?
I think before the Legacy PDF dropped and Forest became the kind of grade A horse shittery that people were moaning about, it was definitely these guys, and with good reason. They're fucking unreal. They're kind of so good they're kind of boring, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if Leadham would agree with me on this one, but they.
No, I will because it's so hard to not take them.
Yeah, I've left mine at home the last probably half dozen games I've played just because they're just a bit good. I mean, they're a huge point sink by the time you buy 10.
It's 575 points for 10.
Yeah, worth it though. The only thing they used to split fire, which is one thing they did use, which is a real fucking mega shame. But mate, there's just no downside. They're a really much more durable chassis than they were in the last edition because only 1 wound in the last edition. I think I wouldn't bother upgrading them at all. I think I think I said earlier, but like if you're getting these guys in combat, then you are absolutely missing the point of them. They want to be as far away from it as possible, hunkered down inside a comfortable little house somewhere, just ripping rockets people, like, across the board.
Yeah.
Oh my, but yeah, they are fucking dull because they're just a bit good. And the problem is as well is you can buff them again. You can stick them with the Master Signals and their coldness signal and give them like +1 ballistic skill to make them BS5.
Yeah. But Cognitive Signal also gives you makes people unable to evade against them as well because it cancels Shrouded. So that's pretty funny. Stuff like that.
You say, I mean, funny for you. It's less everybody else that's going to come up against them.
Yeah, and because they're strength
so
8,
good.
they're strength 8. The crack missile strength 8 as well. So they're even good against. Well, they're not great, but just ripping them into Terminators as way to fire. If you've got nothing else to fire them into, just instant deathing. As soon as they roll that 1 in the armor save, they just lose an entire Termi. There's a bunch of Terminators that are like 50 or more points each. Where every single one of those ones that they roll and they lose like a 50 to 60 point Terminator. Ugh. Because things like a Fire Drake can go up to I think 60 points with a shield, a 3+ shield, and a Thunderhammer. So yeah, veteran Terminators.
When we talked about some of the some of the kind of combos and stuff, traits. This is an area as well where you having that additional shooting phase reaction. People are terrified of shooting things at them because whatever you're going to shoot at them is going to get deleted. Like you're going to lose whatever you're firing at them. Like if you've got a unit of 10 las cannons, you might kill 4, right? But you're going to lose all 10 of your guys in the retaliation. So like, are you kind of willing to make that trade? I think most of the time people don't bother shooting at them because they're so terrified of their they're going to survive most of the game. They're going to probably get, if people are shooting at them, you're going to get 8 rounds of shooting at least from these guys, if not. They're just fucking. They're so good.
Yeah.
And the models are shit.
I find that people, they are terrified of them, but they will hunt them down with close combat to get in a close combat with them the best they can. That really does seem to be the only solution.
You will see that, but the thing is, I mean, I had a game a couple of weeks ago against some White Scars, and he sent a couple of Kazargan speeders to try and take him out, and they just deleted both the Kazargans like in the first time to shoot them.
Yeah.
And again, you talk about target priorities and stuff as well. If you're going to be shooting other, like you can quite happily, there might only be AP3, but you can quite happily glance a Spartan to death with their effective strength 9. Especially when paired with a Cognitive Signum as well. So they're and again because they can effectively take down flyers. They can effectively you can intercept with them.
Yeah, and even if you dump like down an assault squad or something like that, it needs to be a fucking huge one because they can intercept. Like first of all, they can intercept against them. And then when you assault, they can do an overwatch, and they're just hitting on 3s, killing on 2s, and you're not feel their pain. Like, like fucking crazy guys. All right, okay, let's cover the Dominator cohort. This is from the Exemplary Battles PDF. I don't think did they get any? They didn't get any. They've got Iron Havocs as well. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a second. So, Iron Warriors Dominator cohort. This is basically their weapon skill 5 Terminator unit. So, they are so a lot of the legions in these exemplary battles get like the upgraded Terminators. So they're the weapon skill 5, and they have stubborn instead of inexorable. These guys also, so they come with a Thunder Hammer and a Combi Bolter and they're in Cataphractii armor. These guys also gain the Hatred Automata rule, which is kind of cool. They've got the Chosen Warriors rule. Now, the fluff of these guys is they used to be the boyfriend sort of unit for Perturabo, but he sacked them and built the Iron Circle instead. So they're just like, oh, fuck Automata, stole our jobs.
It's such a fucking flex, isn't it? You guys absolutely.
Yeah, you weren't robotic enough. Like,
these guys are criminally undercosted. It's probably the biggest takeaway, especially with cost up 5 like just Norwegian Terminators with hammers.
Yeah,
These guys work out, I think, 35 points. I think it's 245 for 5.
Yeah, 225 for 5, yeah.
225, yeah.
So cheap.
Yeah.
You can swap their Thunderhammer for a Chain Fist. Thunderhammer is good though. They can take the combi weapons, and then they do have they've got a multi-melter heavy weapon choice for 25 points, which is pretty good.
I run 4 guys with Thunderhammer, combi bolt, and then 1 guy who's got a Chain Fist multi-melt, and proved pretty effective.
Yeah. Multi-melter really good for just one-shotting fucking things like Spartans and Kratos that previously would have had like Armored Ceramite and been like invulnerable. Now you can just fucking one-shot them.
Well, it's effective Strength 9, don't forget as well, Tim. So.
Yeah. Strength 9 Armor Bane. Yikes. And that's wounding on 2s against Dread, and then a half range wounding on 2s with a reroll against Dreads as well, which is pretty good. Now they do have this special rule called those once honored. Basically, they can be taken as a retinue squad for an army that includes Perturabo instead of an elite's choice. I guess if you want to run them like pre-Iron Circle. When did that happen? It was after the Battle of Fall, right? Like when the Imperial Fist almost kicked the shit out of him. And he had to fight 2 dreadnoughts, and then he just got pissed having to do that. So all models in an Iron Warriors Dominator cohort selected in this manner lose the Hatred Automata rule though, and gain Feel No Pain 6+. Okay, whatever. And then you can't include Iron Circle in the army if you do that, because it's just so for your historical role playing there. But yeah, if you're Iron Warriors and you're taking Terminators anyway, go and have a look at these guys, because they are basically just better Terminators. Weapon skill 5 is fucking amazing.
Better for less points.
Yeah, that definitely needs some like adjustment there on those points, because that's
no, it doesn't. No, leave them well alone.
Weapon skill 5 is very, very good.
When you look at like, when you say to someone, what's a good weapon for your command squad or your bodyguard squad or whatever, and it's like Thunderhammers, and what's a good weapon for a Terminator. And the other thing too is that it's not always easy to get good weapon skill in an Iron Warrior army, and these guys have got weapon skill 5, and that's a huge like difference when you're fighting other players, especially the ones with lots of cool Malay special Malay units with magic swords and all sorts of other craziness. Having some dudes that are weapon skill 5 is a big jump for the humble Iron Warrior infantryman.
It's a huge fucking boon, because it removes the only kind of weak spot in the army. But I mean, fact of the matter is, right, what's a great kind of like sort of breakwater for keeping things at arm's length is by dumping a unit of 10 of these guys with their kind of resilience and stubborn into your opponent's lines. Not going to get to you, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right, let's look. I'm just looking at the Iron Circle now. I'm closing in on the page.
The Iron Havocs, you mean? Should I take you through the Iron Havocs? Because these guys...
It takes...
We talked about it on our show, that I was told by a very well connected source that these were a very, very, very late omission from the actual Liber book, as some of the legacy units were, and you can kind of tell which ones, because they've had a bit more sort of depth added to their rules. You can tell there's a bit more thoughts gone into them, not just making fucking Medusa cannons like AP4
Raining 6, yeah.
Fuck that shit. Completely invalidating. Like, anyway, so these guys are brilliant. I found that most of the time I'm taking at least 2 units in most armies. They're essentially, they're just so good. They're just so good, and they are so. Again, we talk about kind of undercosting. I think these guys are probably a little bit undercosted, especially when you consider their options. So they're essentially standard stat lines, but they're BS5. So for a heavy support squad that's naturalised BS5, you haven't got to buff them with a Tech Marine or with a Master of Six. I think it's brilliant. You've got a more limited choice of weaponry. You can only take, but to be fair, it's pretty much the weapon you're going to want to take anyway, especially if you're kind of Iron Warriors themes. You get a shrapnel cannon as standard. You exchange that for an auto cannon for free, which is fucking unreal considering that standard heavy support marine's got to pay to switch out for an auto cannon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you get a las cannon or a missile launcher. But what more do you need?
Yeah. Las cannon is 15 points, but 15 points on a BS5 model. I mean, you're paying 15 points on a BS4 model as well, right? So,
it's 385 for 10 with las cannon. Absolute bargain.
Yeah, that's
especially when you consider the rule the sergeant has. Read that out to us, Tim, so we can all just bask in his glory for a second. Listen to your sultry tones telling us all why these guys are so fucking.
Oh, the Ferrum Ocularis, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so shooting attacks made using a weapon with the heavy type by a model with the Ferrum Ocularis gain precision shot 6+ special roll, as long as the attack is not made as part of a reaction or a snapshot. So precision shot 6+, just las cannons ripping into squads, I guess. Fucking pretty crazy. I mean, they couldn't get. There was no reason to give them tank hunter because the las cannon is already got sunder. So they just made them able to just pick out just guys out of squads. That's fucking crazy. So how often do you just shoot the enemy general with a las cannon on turn 1 and just go oh, he's dead?
Every 1 in 2 games. 60% of the time it works every time. It's, absolutely. But I actually I was I'm kind of quite fortunate because I've got such a kind of big collection of stuff. I've got a lot of different units that I can kind of pick from, so I can do some nice. As it must be with you with your Mechanica. If you ever get back to playing them again, you can kind of do a lot of experimenting, mixing and matching.
Yeah.
And I actually find that the las cannons are devastating. Don't get me wrong, they're devastating, but they're a piss take. They're so devastating. I'm a really big fan of 10 of these guys with auto cannons.
Just the
they're free. So you haven't got they're bare bones with auto cannons and an augury scanner, and they're really, really good. I tend to run Siege Breaker quite a lot as well, especially a couple of units, a unit of 10 of these with the ability to have Sunder put on the auto cannons as well. Effective strength 8 auto cannons with rending and Sunder, I think, and hitting on 2s.
I've watched a bunch of games where I think it's the SN Battle Report dudes in Gibraltar. They have missile launcher Havocs, and they seem pretty good because just the humble missile launcher crack missiles going up to strength 9. Although you can't, it's not AP2 or 1, but just get that strength 9 so much better for glancing and even penetrating hit still does a whole point, even if you don't roll, fucking immobilized or some shit like that. And then the Skyfire, 10 of these dudes just ripping Skyfire into stuff. Ugh, holy shit. And that's only, fucking 235 points plus 5 points per model, so
285.
Yeah, 285.
285 missile launchers, 235 with auto cannon, or 385. 385 for the
las cannon.
Cannons. Yeah. And just being able to fucking snipe with a las cannon is just an unexpected pleasure in life these days. There's a lot of uncertainty in this world, but when you roll that 6 and you can just go, well, I'll put that, you're going to get statistically probably 2 6s every time you roll anyway, and just being able to go, well, jam those onto your Praetor. Thank you so much.
Take a 4+ or die. Or pass both of these or die. Yeah, that's so fucking crazy. Please. And then that kills their extra reaction from their warlord trait generally, and spill on effect. Yeah.
You can see, how this is kind of going.
Unit.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah, and you can take the interesting thing is you can also take all the extra shit that a heavy weapon squad can take, like a Vexilla, an Augury Scanner, and the old Nuncio Vox on the Sergeant as well there. Whereas a lot of special units, Legion specific units don't get those little add-ons. But yeah, very, very nice unit. I think it's good. I think it's great. Fucking now the one thing that I did notice is that they're not relentless. I always thought they were like veterans where they just swap the stat around, but yeah, no, they are just like a normal marine stat line. Even their basic dudes are only leadership 7. They've just got 3+ armor. But yeah, that Ferrum Ocularis rule and their fucking just those extra weapon choices. Yeah, interesting little unit.
The naturalized PS5 as well is and
yeah,
I don't
the PS5
understand
is
why
huge.
the auto cannon just can't get my head around.
Should be at least 5 points, you reckon?
Yeah, I think that would be reasonable. Well, as we discussed, it makes up for the having to pay 2 points for your shrapnel box. Because let me tell you,
maybe it's like a role-playing thing, where it's like with such a iconic unit is Iron Havocs with autocannons that they're kind of going, well, if we make them free, at least players will like take them every so often.
Well, it's not just that; it's the most iconic piece of artwork in Heresy. That Iron Havoc in Mark II, standing there with that autocannon that you see all over the place. I think that is absolute peak Heresy. The fact they've made the autocannon good by giving it rending in this edition just makes it so much sweeter.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that is so they've got 4 special units. A bit of a change from the last episode I recorded, which was Salamanders, where they have 2. The Salamanders, both of their units very good. I think that's similar to the Iron Warriors. Like, I don't think any of those special units are particularly bad. Like, they're in fact like siege tyrants are almost a unique sort of thing. You've got the Iron Circle, which is definitely a unique sort of thing. These Iron Havocs, these are similar, not as good as Sun Killers, but like a similar sort of thing to Sun Killers. And then the fucking Dominators, who are just like fucking just +1 Terminators +1 essentially. So 4 what I would rate as very good units.
Dominators, you get 120% of the Terminator for 80% of the cost.
Yeah, there you go. That's fucking pretty good. It's a good deal.
Like, it's like fucking going out and getting free refills. They're just so fucking just like, why are you not taking them?
Yeah. You might as well lean into it. Now Iron Warriors don't get the classic extra heavy support slot, right? Or do they? They don't get that.
No, they don't, which is fucking bullshit. You should be able to exchange an elites for a heavy support slot in Iron Warrior. I think that would be the thing that would make the difference.
Yeah. Oh, there's a little bit more bitterness.
Even be able to use it for the points? What would you throw in that 4th? I mean,
well, you got siege tyrants and
30 Havocs and 10 siege tyrants, and then just everything.
Yeah, and then just whatever else. Yeah, just some blobs of shrapnel bolter fucking guys to die.
Oh, I don't know. You'd need a bodyguard to go to the bathroom, though, wouldn't you? I mean, because otherwise there'd be people waiting in there with like a sock full of marbles to beat you up when you go to the bathroom at an event.
Legion, we're a brutalist legion. We have to play brutalist. We're not playing whack. We're just role playing.
Yeah, don't try and act like you care what other people think. You're an Iron Warriors player.
I see. All right.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about the special reaction. Now, this one is very much like the Iron Hands one. Basically, instead of doing an Overwatch, though, it's essentially a prestige return fire. So you essentially do a return fire. I'm assuming the wording for this has changed in the errata because it's worded similar to how.
Well, it hasn't, but you've just got to be a sensible good boy and play it like you should do.
Yeah.
So I don't actually think it did get errated, but you would again, if you're a erstwhile ersatz decent human being, you will play it the way you now play return fire. Declare before the shooting attack is actually made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I say I'm shooting at you, you then say, "Ooh, I'm going to return fire," or "No, I am not going to return fire." And then player A shoots all their shit, and then the player B shoots all the shit simultaneously. Essentially, like
correct.
It works out simultaneous.
That's how we play it, certainly.
Yeah. I think that's how most people are playing it. And then, according to my poll, and then there's about 20% of people who are like, no, you should. who I assume are playing it simultaneously, but they believe that the returning fire should be after casualties are removed from the primary fire. There's about 20% of people who think that, 80% who think simultaneous. So.
Not what it says.
Yeah, it isn't. Yeah. No. Yeah, this is a poll. This is a poll I did, which was, how do you think it should be played? I think so. 80% of people on board with just straight up simultaneous. Okay. And the way we play it is like, okay, I'm shooting at your guy, and then you go, okay, I'm going to return fire, and then both players just go to their little dice pools and start getting, like 60 dice each or whatever. Okay, so this is essentially a prestige return fire. You return fire, but you shoot twice, and you gain the Gets Hot special rule. Now, there's a whole bunch of wording to explain how it works with the Bit of Fury reaction. How it works with the Gets Hot special rule. So if you already have Gets Hot, then you Gets Hot on a 1 or 2. And... you can't use things like from out of line of sight, like barrage and shit like that. And then if you're doing if it's a template weapon, then you do a wall of death if you're within 8 inches as well. So pretty cool. Do you guys use that every single game? I've found that I don't always use my Iron Hands one where I Overwatch twice and Gets Hot.
I tend to blow it like pretty much in the first shooting attack. Otherwise, I forget about
straight up. Yeah.
Just fucking get over and done with them. Don't worry about it. It's something else that I'm got anxious.
Yeah. And earlier on, destroying, like especially if it's like one of your primary, like a big ass shooting unit, being able to just destroy the enemy. The Gets Hot thing is interesting because with all of your strength 10 las cannons, do you want to be return firing with them because they're going to get hot on a fucking, and then you're going to take a wound at AP2 because it's a las cannon, for example. But if the enemy is shooting at you with what you judge to be a devastating broadside that's going to kill all your shit anyway, who the fuck cares, right? They're just
exactly.
Might as well just blast off.
They've barely even got to get the words out. They're just, I'm going up. I'm like,
bit of fury.
Just get it done.
Yeah. So, seems like a relatively good one. The fact that you can use it for return fire instead of having to wait for an Overwatch is pretty cool as well. Like, just dumping that extreme fire on someone, taking that enemy unit out of the game early in the game. Pretty cool. Or you can just like sit there and carefully camp it and wait until later in the game. But then your return fire targets are dwindling by then, and you want to get the max use out of it, right? I feel like it's one you want to get max use out of. I always wait with mine, like wait until someone assaults one of my big units or my culverins or something like that, and then I'll use it. Because
the first time an enemy unit of 20 tacks declares a shooting attack against our unit of 20 tacks, that's when you fucking that's when you use it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, interesting, good. Not like not super top tier like some of the other ones.
No, it's not game breaking. It's good fun.
But yeah, and watch out for that fucking Gets Hot on a 1 or 2 because that's really gonna hurt you. All right, let's talk about Rights of War. Okay, so 2 Rights of War. We've got the Hammer of Olympia and the Iron Fire. We'll go through the Hammer of Olympia first. This one is pretty good, and it calls back, does some rule stacking with the good old Shrapnel Bolter as well. So all Legion tactical squads composed entirely of models with the Legion Studies Iron Warrior special rule, selected as part of this detachment, must replace Fury of the Legion with the Fury of Olympia special rule. And the Fury of Olympia special rule is, a model with this rule may add 1 to the number of shots fired when making a shooting attack with a Shrapnel Bolter or Shrapnel Pistol, but not with Shrapnel Cannon or Gravis Shrapnel Cannon or any other bolt weapon. So you have to obviously upgrade a unit to use it, but getting an extra shot So at 9 inches, you're getting 3 shots, and at 18, fucking 10 to 18.
So we talked previously about how negate or you negatively affect your rapid fire range, whereas actually what you're doing with this water tray is you're effectively buffing your rapid fire range when shooting your shrapnel bolters.
Yeah, getting that extra shot, pretty good, especially if you're storming forward with these big, like, 20-mans. So now, if you shoot at me and then I do my bit of fury, am I firing 6 shots with Gets Hot?
No.
Doesn't stack?
No. So I think I don't play it like that. I tend to play it as you're getting 5 shots as a return.
So 2 shots and then the additional +1 at the end.
Yeah, 2 shots doubled, additional. Yeah, that's how I play it.
Yeah. According to the wording, one may add 1 to the number of shots fired when making an attack. Yeah, and then Fury of the Legion is also add +1, right? Or is that?
Yeah, so a bit of fury is your shots make twice the
bit
number
of fury
of normal
twice.
shots.
Yeah, so you would rapid fire and then add +1. Yeah, right. So even 5 shot with Gets Hot there, that's pretty fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, it's mutually assured destruction. Like if you're firing 100 shots with Gets Hot, I mean everything is going to die. There's going to be nothing left.
Have you managed to do that?
Yeah, 100%. I've done it more times than I can count so far.
100 shots. Whoa!
Yeah,
do you have 100 dice, or are you one of those annoying people that does 20 at a time or some shit?
I have. It depends on how many dice I've with me. To be honest with you, I mean, I'd like to say no, but occasionally I have to say yes. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm a Giga Chad and I always carry 100 dice with me everywhere.
No, fucking you gotta be prepared, man. You gotta be prepared. You gotta go to Chessex and buy fucking 100 of exactly the same colored dice, and then have them all ready to go. Otherwise, not. Fucking none of this 10 dice at a time. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna roll 100 dice. Okay, I'm gonna roll 10 dice 10 times, and then we're just gonna count how many hits I get. Fuck. Interesting. So being able to do just 100 shots as a fucking insane fucking reaction mega fire, that's pretty fucking hilarious. That's great.
It's chemistry, right? We talk about bolter porn.
Yeah.
This is as hardcore bolter porn as it comes.
Yeah. Like, and what does that represent too? Just like all these dudes, just like, oh, fucking open fire. They all just start firing like crazy, and then their bolt guns are exploding because they're getting so hot and killing them.
It's just Talibanite riding around on the back of trucks with just like fingers down on triggers, just wildly shooting arcs. That's what it is. That's what it represents, mate. It's just electrical tape around the trigger and just fucking hurling your bolt.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going with the right. So we've got all Legion Predator squadrons, Vindicator squadrons, Proteus carriers.
You haven't finished.
Oh, what do you mean?
Did I not? Did I cut you off?
Oh no, what happened?
Did we talk about the Fury of Olympia re-rolling of the ones as
no, we haven't got to that yet. That's the third roll down.
Like I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah.
I've ruined it.
Yeah. No, that's right.
This past 2 hours has been worthless. Just count it now, man.
No, it is weird because the first thing gives them this special rule for their bolt gun and talks all about that. Then suddenly it jumps to like vehicles and then it jumps back. So the second rule is Predators, Vindicators, Proteus carriers, and Land Raider Spartans ignore the crew shaken and crew stunned results on the vehicle damage table. Interesting. Okay, cool. No probs. I thought that reinforced on the Spartan and the Land Raider would doesn't reinforced ignore crew shaken.
Reinforced ignore crew shaken but not stunned, I think.
Oh, so this is crew shaken and stunned. Okay. Ooh, that's fucking pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Getting that for free, especially just across all your vehicles. And I mean, like, what so many Iron Warriors armies have those Land Raiders and have those Spartans because they're fucking strength 10 fucking Sunder Beams. Like, who doesn't like that? And then, so a unit composed entirely of models with Legion of Astartes Iron Warrior special rule that's part of a detachment using this Road of War may reroll all failed to hit rolls of 1 made for shrapnel pistols, shrapnel bolters, shrapnel cannon, and gravis shrapnel cannon. Oh, okay, so reroll 1s as well as... So you get hot, but then you're rerolling 1s. Oh. Damn, they thought of everything.
Yep.
Reroll 1s to hit rolls of 1. So 100 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. And then you're going to take way less gets hot from that, obviously. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Well. I don't know. It's fucking ape shit.
Yeah. It just makes your basic tac squad so good because they're fucking.
It really does. Yeah. They're Iron Warriors, the best tactical marines in the game.
Because you go up to strength 5 against like automata, dreadnoughts, vehicles, so you can get those side shots. You can get side glances and front glances on armor 11, which is rhinos. And basically the only thing you're not getting a bonus against, because you're getting pinning on a whole ton of shit as well. So you're getting a bonus from these shrapnel bolters. You're getting a bonus even against like bikes and cavalry, which you're not getting a strength bonus. You're getting that pinning against infantry. You're getting the pinning. And then three shots
well. You're making your opponent. So think where this really comes into its own is at scale, like scale as well as this does. Not just for Iron Warrior, just generally across the board. Don't think there's another rifle war that scales as well as this one does. It's the bigger games you play, the more tactical marines you really does railroad you into playing a very Iron Warriors-y sort of way, like having those really big bricks, kind of like just moving up the boards. Doesn't really matter about the numbers. You know, if we kill 10 guys, it doesn't matter 20 guys sat behind us. If 20 of those guys died, there's 40 guys sat behind them. That's how you kind of are really encouraged to play with this Rite of War, and it's just it's so thematic. Like I never leave home at 2,500 to 3k without at least 60 tac marines. Most of the time I'm taking 80.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And in this edition, where there's no fucking Medusas, where Medusas aren't fucking just the insane unit killing shit anymore. Yeah, basically the only thing you've really got to watch out for is irradiation engines from the Mechanicum list that'll just fucking rip your shit up. Other than that, like because there isn't those just like 20-man unit killing fucking mega shot, 10-inch blast, fucking everything dies in the 2+ shots anymore. Those big units, like short of sort of crashing terminators into them and slowly slogging through them, are really hard to shift off shit, especially if they're just sitting on an objective waiting for you to come towards them. But yeah, you're right. Like just being able to just shove like 60 tac squads just up in people's faces, just blasting, and the closer you get, the more damage they're doing until they just inevitably charge you. So it'd be, what is it? +2 points for a chainsword. It's 5 points for a chainsword, isn't it? And then do you put chainswords on your attacks or just the shrapnel bolter?
Nah,
2 points.
For me, just the shrapnel bolter. So you've also got to remember, whilst these guys are just like methodically marching toward you in a hail of like bolter bullets, you've got 3 prime heavy support choices sat behind them, hurling fucking baked bean can size shells or like strength 10 laser beams into.
Yeah.
Target priority against Iron is really tricky. Everything's a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even if you do have the weapons that can deal with the big 20-man units, then if you're shooting at them, then you're not shooting at their havocs or their tyrants or whatever. And then on top of that, dreadnoughts moving up. Iron Warriors, dreadnoughts, they've also got the strength 10 beams against other dreadnoughts and vehicles. Just the Gravis las cannon Iron Warrior dread with a Gravis power fist. Just stiffening that line as well. So even if they do charge you 20-man, you can countercharge with a dread. One of the things that can deal with 20-mans is like a veteran or is Terminator units. And expensive Terminator units just get like chewed up by a couple of dreads easily. So yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
No, you've certainly given me some like really bolstered my ideas.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for that.
Well, I mean, and you've kind of you're a bit of an enabler though, because you've you know,
I'm listening.
We're talking about these extra, Iron Havocs and Siege Tyrants and
I think
the rest of it.
I think, like with everything, like metas are obviously very different. Like I play locally in a meta that I tend to take not kind of like meme lists as such now, but like I tend to take. I'm not taking like really like heavily optimized lists anymore. I'd like to take things so I'll take like big bricks of Legion Terminators, even though they're not great. I still take a lot of Tactical Marine because like I do think it's a way I really like to play. Like I started collecting Iron Warrior. I wanted to play that massed gunpig kind of heresy. This was before this. First thing that I did was I painted an HQ and 60 Tactical Marines before I painted anything else, so that I knew I had that solid base to work with. But occasionally when we go to events, like especially if we're going to events, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but I don't know what it's like in Australia, but in the UK, a lot of the time, like if you go to lots of events and you're not like known, like if you've got a boyfriend to go to events, you tend to find that you've kind of got most of your games worked out before you even go in, because you're like, well, I'm just going to challenge you game one, like game one Sunday, or playing this guy game 4 because we're normally pretty hanging by then and he's good fun. And then you kind of, you'll take a list. It's a fucking prick in this place. This fucking guy, he always takes 6, like 3 Leviathans, so I need to make sure I can counter that. So I think Iron Warriors are really powerful. Probably not like the top Legion, but they're in the conversation. Like if you were to do your Mount Rushmore 2.0 Legions, but they can still play very Iron Warriors-y without being too over the top. But on the flip side, you can make them very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think they might be responsible just because of those strength 10 Sunder las cannons. I think they could be one of the things that's responsible for people moving away from vehicles in this edition, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we're definitely seeing it here. I think maybe in the UK you guys are seeing it a bit as well. Is that people are just they play against an Iron Warrior army with a couple of Spartans or some Land Raiders, and just cop those strength 10 beams and just are like, fuck, like I just wasted all those points. Like I could have had 3 extra dreadnoughts instead of that instead of that Spartan and a dreadnought, I could have had instead of that Spartan and a Proteus, I could have had 3 dreadnoughts, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like to give you an idea, like
held up.
Like a 3K event in November. That in fact we, as Heresy Hammer, we're running. Rob's kind of doing most of the work, but Lee and I and Paul will be there for moral support, and I'm planning on taking 100 Tactical Marines, Perturabo and 6 Iron Circle, as that's my 3,000 points.
Whoa.
So I don't think anyone's going to pretty terrible, I reckon. It's either going to be pretty terrible or fucking unreal, and I can't quite work out which side of the pendulum's going to kind of swing, really, but we'll see.
You'll definitely
have...
have...
a Legion that... Yeah. Is there a Legion that when you get matched up against them, you kind of go, "Oh, that's kind of your which Legion do you think is the kryptonite of Iron Warriors? Is there even one that exists?"
I mean, Imperial Fiststone Gore. And again, it's so durable. But again, as long as you can keep rolling opponent roll dice, things will fall over eventually. I think White Scars, with their ability to kind of do a lot of move and fire, but again, like the problem is a lot of their like jet bikes and their land speeders just die to heavy weapons. Alpha Legion, I think are really, when played well, are a hard counter to everything. Really, I think, to be honest with you, I think they are really going under the radar as one of the top legions, and I think probably I would be most, if I was just concerned about like winning a game, I would be most concerned probably about coming up against Space Wolves.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
just because of their ability to just get across the board like so quickly. And see what Iron Warriors suffer with is they're relatively basic combat abilities. Like if you start to get if you play the tar pitting game, you can tar pit quite well. But if you start to get bogged down against units that are just better at you in combat, they're going to go through you quickly, and you can't really get back to them. So
yeah. See, tar pitting's a good strat, but you can't just win a game just by tar pitting. You can win a game by tar pitting the units, but then you need that sort of sledgehammer to come along and break those combats for your side.
If you've only got anvils and no hammers, are just going to eventually. So
an anvil's very slow. You can't move around. You can just run around an anvil, sort of thing. So
exactly.
So definitely, the thing is, Iron Warriors luckily have those fucking those hammer units as well, like the Dominators or Perturabo with 6 fucking Iron Cycle, for example. Yeah. And also just like every legion has dreads as well, so you can just throw some dreads in, like, a big sea of dudes, like cut it back to 60 guys and then chuck in 3 dreads, and in 3,000 points, that's a good base. That's going to be tough to get past those to get through to your fucking heavy weapons that are actually demolishing shit, or your vehicles, in any of those sort of like big Predator Squadron, for example. All right, okay. Well, let's we'll finish off this Rite of War, and then we'll finish off the last Rite of War. So, the limitations for the Hammer of Olympia are: you have to include a model with a Warsmith upgrade, or it must include Perturabo, and no unit from a detachment using this Rite of War can be assigned Deep Strike, Subterranean Assault, or Flanking Assault. Okay, cool. Well, fucking not really that bad for Iron Warriors, the way that you're going to just set up your Caesar, man.
You will miss the Delegatus, though. That's the only thing. Delegatus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With that many tactical marines, if you were talking about optimization, you'd probably rather optimize with running a Delegatus as opposed to Warsmith. But that's actually where Perturabo's auto trait comes really handy.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's a good point. So what John's saying there is because you have to take a Warsmith, he has the Master of Legion rule, and the Delegatus. If you look at the Delegatus, you can't include them if you already have a Praetor, right?
Correct. So then you can have one or the other, both.
Yeah, one or the other. So not being able to do that rally thing or unpinning everyone, not being able to sort of like push out your leadership across like all of those big units, which is pretty fucking handy. But you could still take a command Rhino though, right? And
Master Signals is a better way of doing it.
Master Signals. Okay, yeah.
Because then he can also buff another unit with his Cognus as well, like a unit siege tyrant.
Yeah, true, and he can interfere with people via that Vox fuck around thing. Okay, let's talk about the Ironfire. Now, last edition Ironfire was extremely very good. It allowed you to just basically auto hit with blast within 6 inches or some shit like that. It was pretty fucking crazy. Okay, we'll go through the effects. So, number 1 is Legion Aquila squadrons can be taken as non-compulsory troops. So, that's very interesting. The Aquatar seem pretty good. I really like the Graviton Aquatar because it's like a 7-inch Graviton template that you leave in play and becomes difficult and dangerous. It's only 24-inch range, but it is barrage, so you can sit behind some haystacks and just sort of like boom, 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 drop down these big like 7-inch dangerous, difficult terrain things.
Don't forget with a siege breaker, you can run what's in you.
Oh, right. Say again. Sorry, you just broke up.
So with if you've got a siege breaker, bus bombard, the cheap like cannon boy can run Phosphex shells.
Oh yes, on the Aquila Bombard.
20 points a model.
Is that how big is the blast?
They get fucking tasty.
How big is the blast that it leaves? Is it just a 5-inch or?
I think it's 5. Yes, I think it might even be 3-inch. I'm gonna have a little look now.
So they've taken that off the Medusa, haven't they? There's no Medusa Phosphex anymore.
Yes, correct.
That's very interesting. But yeah, being able to take these as a non-compulsory troops choice means that you can chuck these. They are formally heavy support, so you can still take your 3 squads of Iron Havocs or Tyrants, and then 2 Iron Havocs, and then chuck a couple of these Aquators in your troops slots. Which, I mean, if you're not filling them up with 20-man units, I mean, taking 120 fucking Marines. These Aquators, like an Aquator is like 200 points there, right? So they're...
so the Phosphex shell from the Morbus Bombard is 24-inch range, Ordnance 1, Blast 3-inch, Poison 3+, Strength 5, AP 2, Crawling Fire, Lingering Death.
Oh, so it's only a small blast.
It's only a small blast.
Yeah.
It's only a little baby one, but it has got obviously the Crawling Fire.
Yeah, an AP2. Yeah.
AP2, but that doesn't make any sense because a Basilisk is AP4, isn't it? I mean,
a Basilisk is shit.
Yeah.
Let's not. Can we please? That's a debate that I've had so many times. It's fucking bullshit. Anyway,
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I mean, it's literally not your fault. And if it is, then a curse upon you.
Yeah, interesting.
No Iron Warriors player would ever curse the Basilisk.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, next up is any weapon with the barrage special rule fired by a model selected as part of a detachment using this rite of war and targeting a point. Any point within 12 inches of a friendly unit composed entirely of models with the Iron Warriors rule only scatters D6 instead of 2. D6, pretty good. So the max scatter you're going to get is 2 off a BS4 thing. Including when fired using the barrage special rule. So that is pretty good because usually you don't remove your BS from like a barrage shot. So taking that down to D6 means the maximum you can scatter is 6 now instead of fucking 12 inches. So a good chance of like getting a more accurate or at least closer to where you're trying to aim for shot. So that's pretty good. It used to be like auto hit, I believe, if you within range.
I don't think it's scattered at all if it was within a certain range. I never played it because at the time I would say.
But yeah, moving forward, dumping down those shots. Yeah, interesting. You can fire a barrage over open sight, which is so you're reducing it down to D6 and then removing ballistic skill. So things like obviously Aquatar bombards and quad mortars, for example, have good examples of barrage shit. There's not really that much like insane barrage anymore, right? Like a classic one was the good old bombardment that comes that you
please add. Yeah. Command Rhino had it. Obviously, Medusas were everywhere. The irony is that I do now own the rules to have been able to do this properly, and I've tried to play it a couple of times, and it's just like it's. I think the only things, if you maybe had like 6 whirlwinds, that might be a way of potentially being quite devastating because the Scorpius is one of the few sort of barrage big template weapons that survived the great rebalancing of 2022.
Yeah. Good old Scorpius, yeah.
Good old Scorpius, yeah. Still have a super vault, especially with COs and stuff. Yeah, I just quite keen to give it another go with a slight better range of miniatures. I kind of want to put together like I haven't actually got yet.
Yeah. I can imagine definitely like when you've got all your shrapnel dudes, you move right up in someone's shit. You use your the graviton aquadors to drop those super accurate big 7-inch difficult dangerous terrains across the front of the enemy, and then just so that basically you just sit a few inches out and just pump rounds into the enemy while they just struggle through this like heavy gravity zone die. All their guys are dying. Like you have to roll a d6 for them every time they move. And if you're just 1 inch out from the front of that, then when they charge, you have to roll a d6 for every single one. And then any that are still in there when you do your surge move, you like move up, you shuffle up move. Any of them that do that inside that zone have to roll all again. And then at the end of the combat, if they move again, then they fucking like they have to take it as well.
Making me reconsider my decision.
Yeah, I just want to dump that shit on them. Okay, so we'll keep going. So any unit with the infantry type selected as part of a detachment using this rite of war that's within 12 inches of the final target point of a weapon fired using the barrage special rule by a friendly model gains the stubborn rule until the start of the controlling player's next turn. So you probably want to have like a little marker that you put down just to remind you that unit's stubborn, because after they've struggled through all that gravity, struggled through you firing fucking like all these shells into their shit, your 3 shots per shrapnel, chance of taking pinning checks as well. They get pinned in there, they're just sort of fucking stuck there. Can't charge you or anything as well, which is pretty hilarious. And then on top of that, if they finally do make it through all of that shit, taking casualties the whole way, when they finally win that combat by 1 or 2, or even if they win it by like 10, you're just like, oh, I'm stubborn, so whatever. It's pretty funny. And then any unit with the infantry type selected as part of a detachment using this rite of war may reroll any failed armor saves taken against wounds inflicted by attacks made with any variant of the blast special rule. So it's kind of like a light version of heavy. You reroll against blast. It doesn't say templates though, so you're not getting the reroll against flamers and flame weapons, but you are getting it against like frag missiles and things like that. So yeah, nice little additional thing there. And then the limitations are you can't do subterranean assault, flanking assault, or deep strike assault, which is kind of weird that they can't do subterranean assault, since that's like such a classic siege tactic. But anyway,
yeah, I thought that was a bit odd as well. I mean, sorry, apologies, I'm slightly distracted by me just putting some grav octors in my world basket as we speak.
Just chucking some grav in there.
Just a couple, just to make sure.
Yeah, dude. Liam's been talking about these graviton aqueducts for a while, and yeah,
I had this conversation with the UKC Nathan, like as the books were coming out, and I was like, "No, I can't really see. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how it was going to work." And to pin everyone down, stop them moving, and then just drop different shells on top of them while they're stuck in place, whilst you're being fucking mercilessly gunned down. I'm just thinking, yeah, this is a bit of me.
Yeah, that's why you need a pyromancer as well, so you can put down 3 large blasts, and anything that moves through them have to take a strength 6 AP4 hit as well. So you could basically just like stop. Like imagine when militia comes out and they've got to try and move across the board towards you. Just like that will not be happening. You'll just be getting like slaughtered, like no feel, no pain or anything from their little medic guys. Lots of classic combos for like table control, almost as many as Death Guard. I mean, like that you can stack, especially the fact that you can take like Aquators as troops as well. Like there's usually unused couple of slots in your troops choices if you're not taking 120 silver fucking Mark III guys. Yeah, okay, so the limitations are, so no deep strike, subterranean, or flanking assault, and then you must include more squadrons of Aquadars, Basilisks, or Medusas than you have cavalry. Pfft, is that ever going to fucking come? When the fuck does that ever come up? And then...
That has never come up in the entire role in history. That has never come up.
Yeah. Like, oh shit, I was really hoping to take my Ironfire Landspeeder spam list. Like, what the fuck? And then detachment using this rite of war must include a model with the Legion Consularis upgrade that has the Siegebreaker upgrade. That is not a terrible limitation. It's barely a limitation. Especially since with this Ironfire, you do want to be running that Phosphex, right? So some like a battery of Phosphex, a couple of batteries of Phosphex quads.
Some fucking just pinning people in place with those big 7-inch grabs and then just dropping phosphex shells on. Yeah. And Scorpius rounds as well.
Yeah.
God, Tim.
Yeah. And, you know the other thing as well.
Right now.
You know the other thing as well is those 7-inch graviton. They also have concussive, so there is that chance that even after all of that shit, they fail their concussive.
They're weapon skill 3,
and then they're only weapon skill 3, and then you really beat the shit out of them. And you've still got that stubborn up your sleeve as well. There you go. It's all about just making the enemy slug through terrible shit, like Space Wolves, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, and playing Perturabo down as well, and you're taking that stubborn.
Yeah.
Highest as well.
Yeah, the only problem against Space Wolves though is that moving within the 12 inches, the closer you get to them, the higher the chance of them doing their magic charge thing. Yeah, but if you're hold on. So how does it? So any unit with the infantry type that is within 12 inches of the final target point. Okay, so it's not just the edge of the template, it's the final target point. Yeah. So on a 7-inch you need to get 3 inches, and then you got 6 inches on top of that, and you'd be at 9. I'll be 12 from the target point, right? So that's not too bad. Like you're 9 inches out from the edge. They're gonna have to pass. It depends where. Yeah, it just depends. I guess you move up as close as you feel safe, and 11 inches, and just hope the Space Wolves don't make an 11 inch.
Well, yeah, I mean you can retreat away, and they're going to be reduced movement through the. So you might get away, and then you will get a chance to overwatch. So we'll see. I mean, the whole point is I think you've just got wise, you know, if you're getting close to a unit, bog them down with the grav, and then whilst they're pinned in place, just drop. Like if you got 2 Scorpiuses, just drop 2 Scorpius rounds on top of them. They're going to be fucked.
Yeah, those Scorpius are really good. In the Legion Exemplary battle, Legion Legacies, the just the basic Whirlwind is can fire like a plasma fucking shot now, which is like a large blast. Breaching 4+ shot, I believe. I'm just looking it up now, but just that basic ass Whirlwind, not fucking super terrible. And also on top of that, I believe like some of those some of the Legion, the Panoptica thing, if that's active in your meta. The Panoptica thing allows you to take Whirlwinds as a squadron again. So you can take up to 3 in a squadron rather than just one single Whirlwind. Yeah, so the Thermius AP missile is range 48, strength 7, AP 4, ordnance 1, barrage, blast 3-inch, breaching 4+. So like a little mini Scorpius round almost. Although I think
it's tight, isn't it?
Yeah, is the Scorpius rending instead of breaching maybe? I think Scorpius is pretty good. But yeah, I think Scorpius might be large blast maybe. That might be what the difference is. But yeah, so definitely worth having a look, jumping over to the Legacies document if you're an Iron Warriors player, because that's where you get your Medusas, Basilisks, and your Whirlwinds. And then on top of that, there's other stuff like...
Iron Havocs.
Yeah, Iron Havocs. There's also things like Minotaurs and stuff like that in there as well.
I've got to ask a question, Tim. What the fuck is going on?
Can you hear like a bird?
Is that a bird?
Yeah, it's a bird. That's in my garage.
Has that come to take your family away?
Well, there's a whole bunch of them now. Nah, that's just a minor bird. It's just a little squawky bird. Little thug bird. They get around in little packs. So you know how there's like magpies that we've got over here that swoop people? No, there's a bunch of birds that will attack people over here during mating season. These ones just like... are always swooping shit all the time. Like they'll just go you for no reason. And they're always just trying to mug other birds as well.
My wife was in town the other day, and a seagull came and stole her bao bun that she was eating.
Yeah,
she just sprang me to say that she'd never been so sad.
Yeah. All right. Well, the arrival of the bird packs means that it's like the sun's coming up here now. But I think that's the last rite of war. So those rites of war you want to build around, but I mean, they both sort of work off the classic archetype for Iron Warriors, and almost every single one of these rules, warlord traits, etc., all work with the classic thing, which is a bunch of fucking tack marines in big swarms just marching forward, and then just like supported by like heavy weapons teams, of which Iron Warriors get some of the best ones. The Siege Tyrants, extremely fucking good. Not only in the attack, but also just the fact that they're two wound cataphractii terminators sitting in your fucking backline. If they're sitting in your backline, one of the things that sucks the most is when your heavy weapons teams are just getting like rolled by some close combat shit, and there's not much you can do. Siege Tyrants get around that by the fact that they're like fucking terminators with power fists. So you know something like a little assault squad is just going to get like fucking shoot up.
It's really really cute that you think that anything that's going to hurt a siege tyrant is going to get close to a siege tyrant. Absolutely mega murder.
Well, that's what I mean. If those siege tyrants aren't there, then it's just things like havocs that just can't fight in close combat. They're just punching at you. You know,
you're going to fucking vaporize everything.
Yeah. Hopefully that's what will happen. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, exactly.
If it's all going to plan. But yeah, I genuinely think they're one of the hardest legions to fight, especially if you're someone who's rocking vehicles. It's really fucking brutal. If you know that they're getting the first turn, you almost want to just like hide your vehicles in reserve, and then so you're not getting just smashed before you can even do anything. I've seen so many games where people just lose all of their Spartans and Land Raiders turn 1 just because of all those strength 10 Sunderbeams.
I do think that there is a certain response, because I think that they have got the worst for like a negative play experience for your opponent. So I think you've got to just think about like making sure that you have a fun game and sort of just being a little bit self-regulatory, depending on obviously the type of game you're playing a tournament. Just go and fucking win shit, go and do it. If you're playing people that you know will still be your friends after you've absolutely pushed their shit in for 45 minutes, because that's just how long it takes to just rattle through a couple of shooting turns. Then kind of crack on. But I think if you want to go out and make some new boyfriends, then just be a little bit cautious about taking 20 havocs and 10 siege tyrants, because you might not. You won't be quite as popular as you think you might otherwise be.
Against your true friends, that's when you want to bring out the Iron Fire and just do a full fucking Iron Cage on someone where they just struggle against you while you just laugh at them. Just like, enjoying the Phosphex. Yeah.
Never gonna catch me.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Just want to iron cage like your bestest friends, and then against just like people you've never met before. That's when you're on the Hammer of Olympia thing, where you just like shooting the extra shots, just throwing shit around. Yeah. No, they are probably really. I really rate them definitely in the. I would say top 5 of the legions. I think like Sons of Horus are also very good, and I think that Imperial Fists obviously very good, just because they get +1 to hit on with like 57 different weapons from the Age of Darkness. In terms of like sheer like, oh fuck, I'm playing Iron Warriors next, like at an event or something, like when you see someone put down their tray and it's covered in like silver models, you're just like, oh shit, okay, here we go. Yeah, there's just that they've got that like aura of dread about them. Like you just know you're in for a really tough game. Every time I see, like, just look at an army, when people take pictures at events of just those armies, Iron Warriors always like, you just look at all of those heavy weapons and things and just go like, Jesus, how I'm going to survive against this. But then sometimes you just fucking win big against them and you're like, fuck. Everyone can have a bad day, or everyone can poorly design their list. Somebody might just spam out the graviton balls, for example.
Yeah, bless them.
All right. Well, any last thoughts, Leon, on Iron Warriors?
They're a lot of fun, and they're very open to creativity on your army list, and some legions you can only really kind of play them in a very you got to have tunnel vision on your like design, and then you just the only art to it is just fine tuning things. But with Iron Warriors, you can come up with a crazy idea, and it will let you do that, which is really nice.
Yeah, and because they had some
scope too.
Yeah, because they had so many like little detached units throughout the Imperium as well. You can literally just come up with whatever fluff you want. They don't have to be from one of the Grand battalions or whatever. They can just be some guys who are detached 50 years into the Great Crusade, and they've been totally independent for 150 years, for example. And then they come in on whichever team you want. So yeah, plenty.
Yeah, like and another thing too is that, like with some legions, they're kind of like, oh, but you weren't in the southern expanse at this point in the heresy or something like that. Whereas there were Iron Warriors everywhere. If you're whatever you're doing, they could have been there, which is nice.
They've got such a good relationship with like allies. I think they'll. I think there's kind of loads of directions you can go with them. I don't think you're going to, as Leading was saying, you're not going to be like railroaded into just going one specific way. There's some really lovely modelling opportunities available as well. There's loads from loads of the other legions and from loads of the game systems as well. Like there's loads of 40k stuff you can kind of bring in. They've had kits for years and years. I think they just... I think one of the things as well kept me engaged, new things I want to do with them, and that's the mark of that's when they're kind of your legion. I think when you come away from an event and kind of want to do something completely different with the same legion, rather completely different.
I need another 20 Iron Havoc exactly. so I can run the 30 Havoc list. Yeah.
Well, now I need some 4 Graviton Arquiters at least. So.
Yeah.
There's my Christmas list.
A whole bunch of Aquator pairs. Yeah. How many Aquators do you get in a single choice? Is it just 2?
Does it go up to 3?
Up to 3. Oh. I almost think you don't even need... Because it's a 7-inch template. Like, a 7-inch template is so huge. Like,
just probably 2 singles. It's 2 hot singles.
Yeah. Hot singles in your troops choices right now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hot singles ready to graviton mingle, yeah.
Oh no, I was right.
Yeah,
3. It is 3.
It's up to 3. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
Imagine
you can
that.
come up with like interesting ideas. Like you can say, "Ooh, what would a like a recon or like a bike squadron or like a landspeed squadron or Iron Warriors be like?" And when you look at all of their buddies, like they had buddies, they had these cool dudes friends with like ultramarines, salamanders, world eaters, all these other crazy stuff through the books. You can pick any of that and then go, oh yeah, bestest bros of the world eaters. What's that like? What did they do with that? Or whether loyalist or traitor.
Traitor salamanders and Iron Hands, Iron Warriors
as well.
Yeah, or you've got your herds of tactical, bigger herds of goat men from siege out of fucking, people throwing fucking horns and hooves as they're being like held into just running mercilessly. There's so many things you can do with them. I think they're one of the legions where the possibilities are endless, and you can get a really good tabletop level army really simply as well. Like just like a black primer and like a decent silver rattle can, and you can get a really good looking effective.
And also if you like those if you like that World War II style like doing historical modeling and stuff like that, you can do the Iron Warrior tanks and like really get into all the the grease and the grime and the wet the weathering effects and all that, and make some really cool kind of
I weather mine to shit and cover them in chains. I think I put my my Kratos on
Eye of Horus group. Like amazing work. Yeah, that's fucking really good.
They're just
beautiful.
They're just they're just fucking cool.
I
think they get a bad rap because of the small contingent of like basement dwellers that seem to want to play them.
Yeah.
Well, as a fat basement dweller myself,
you guys know who you are. It's the same people who've been playing them since fucking Third Ed. So ever since they got that alluring extra heavy support choice, you guys have just been rocking the same lists, playing the same shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up there. Thanks so much for coming on, Liam. Thanks so much for coming on, John. Now, John is on the Heresy Hammer podcast, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a show on YouTube. We try and put one out kind of every. So it's myself, Lee.
Oh, sorry. Say again. You just broke up. Then it's yourself.
So we've got Lee, who's like a kind of super muscle man, and then we've got Rob, who is handsome Medas Miniatures on Instagram, who you no doubt follow, and Paul, who is sort of terrifying, brooding, and we sort of do a semi-serious take on heresy. So we have a section where we talk about in-depth tactical discussions on stuff suggest. We go through. We're kind of currently doing a very similar to you with Legion deep dives at the moment. We showcase people's work if they want to post stuff on Instagram and use the hashtag HeresyHammer. Pick it up and we'll showcase stuff and talk through about why we think it's looks and it's a good time. So if you search for Heresy Hammer at Hammer Show and give us a subscribe, super good. We 1,200 subscribers now.
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit there, but it's Heresy Hammer on YouTube. Go and check them out. I think you said Lee was a jacked superhuman mini Hulk or something.
Primarch level.
Primarch level superhuman. So, it is a good show. I'm gonna go and I've got to remember to hashtag Heresy Hammer so you can talk about my shit and I can sit there and listen to it and be like, ooh, they're talking about me. Ooh, yeah.
Well, you can watch it as well. That's the beauty about ours is you can just
see people licking brushes, things like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Lots of brush licking. Good show. And there's a link. If you go to the show notes for this episode of Warmonger, you'll find a link to. I'll put a link to your page as well, to the YouTube page. All right, awesome. Thanks so much. This has been a good episode. Lots of little hints and tricks, as well as we've hopefully pointed out sort of the main. If you don't play Iron Warriors, hopefully we've pointed out some of the main things to watch out for. Anything that these guys got excited about, fucking that's what to watch out for. So there's a lot. There's a lot there.
You've really given me so many great ideas and advice, and so I'm going to be even more of a menace next time.
Oh, great.
That's what we want, man.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Fully Painted is for closers.